5 to 6, not 6. Don't come to 6. Come at 6, it's over. 5 to 6. There you go. Now, we are done with Jonah, if anybody didn't realize that. If you still have questions about Jonah, we still didn't even scratch the surface about Jonah. And so there's so much more to learn and love about it. If you want to keep studying it. Talk to me afterwards. Talk to me at any point. I'd love to talk to you more about it. But we are now moving to a slightly different portion, going back into Genesis. There is a story that most of us are familiar with. And because it is a story that most of us are familiar with, most of us have our blinders up as to what the story is and why it is and how it is and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what I hope to work with and reveal throughout our time in Genesis. The Joseph story ranges from chapter 37 all the way to 50. And we don't have enough time to even get into all of that. But we're going to just have some fun, and you guys are going to do a lot of the work. So just like we did in Jonah, we're going to apply the same stuff when it comes to Joseph's story, because I say it often and I'll say it again, I'm only interested in teaching you how to handle the only thing that you will walk out of here with and possibly when you never return again. And so if I do nothing else, I want you to know how to open this word and how to study it and what to look for and those kind of things. So that being said, what are some of the stuff that we did and looked for and can apply to the stories elsewhere in the Bible when we're studying? What's some of the stuff that we should be looking for?
Repeated words.
All right, so we said two things there. Say it again. Okay, so we got hyperlinks, first of all. What are hyperlinks? Fill us in on that. Okay, can you give me an example? Anybody?
Those are themes.
Hyperlinks, like when we talk the water and the wine story.
Oh yeah, the
Goes back
dove
to
flying down.
creation.
Absolutely. I put John 1:1 up there as an example. In the beginning was the Word. As soon as you hear that, if you're a Second Temple Jew reading John's language, you're going to immediately think page 1 of the Bible, in the beginning, right? And then, so that's a hyperlink. It's something that's going to take you to 100 things. How many guys went to the Heritage Festival this weekend? How many rode what was your favorite ride?
The Dizzy Dragon.
The Wacky Worm, the Tizzy Dragon. Anybody else? Favorite ride?
My favorite ride was
Huh?
My favorite ride was the food.
the one that goes up in Springtree. I really enjoyed
Okay, cool. So if I were to walk in this room and I said Heritage Festival, what's a story that you could tell me about the Heritage Festival?
Gage threw up every year.
They told a story about Gage in the middle school. So there you go.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
And I used it totally the rest of the time. It was all about Gage being a wussy about rides. So yeah.
You from who?
I'm not telling you. Okay. Yeah, it had to have been Ethan. It was definitely Ethan. Okay. So if I say the word Gage, what are you guys all going to be thinking? Heritage Festival. Threw up. Wussy on rides. We'll just keep going with that, okay? If somebody else walked in here and didn't hear any of these things that we just talked about, and I said Heritage Festival and Gage, what would they be thinking?
Who's Gage?
Okay, yeah, who's Gage? What's Heritage Festival?
What's he have to
What are they
do?
talking about? What's that? There's not a whole background there. So the biblical authors are using words and things like that. They're saying Gage. They're saying Heritage Festival to help pull in full stories that have meaning and purpose behind it, and they're trying for you to take that and juxtapose it with the stories that you're reading right now. In other words, put it side by side and compare it, and that's where you start to realize the cool treasures, right? That's what it is, right? I know, exactly, right? Juxtapose those things together. Okay, so hyperlinks, what else should you look for?
What would I say? Repeated words.
Okay, would you repeat yourself, please? Repeated words and or...
Phrases.
There you go. Okay, repeated words, can you give me an example of that?
Wives.
Down in
Wives and Ruth.
Okay, so we'll just say down in Jonah. Yep, there you go.
Redeemer.
And why is that important? What should it clue you in on?
That's important.
Okay, it's important, yeah. So, like I use that duck analogy where if I walked out in my backyard and saw feathers everywhere, and I have 2 ducks, and those ducks aren't there anymore, but the ducks must be somewhere, but I can't find the ducks, and the ducks have been killed by a dog that got in and killed my ducks. What is the subject of that story?
Ducks.
The ducks, absolutely, right. Now, if I were to say the ducks went to the Heritage Festival, you could see that you started conglomerating a whole bunch of things together. You got a lot of questions right now, right? Because you're thinking, how is he a wussy, but also the ducks are dead? And you're like, I don't see how this all fits together, right? So that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So repeated words, repeated phrases. Anything else that you remember?
Like a break in the pattern, like a change in where you're talking
There you go.
about.
Okay, so this is not technical. You're not going to read this in like seminary or something like this, but that's just what I like to call hard right turns. Right? Can you give me an example of a hard right turn?
Being sold.
Genesis what? Hey, look at you and your Genesis 38 hard right turn story of the Joseph, and now we're in Judah and Tamar. We'll get to that later. Okay, just put that in the back of your mind, but good job. Well done. Anything else? Anything else you should remember?
What's given?
Okay, themes, yeah? What are some themes?
Up and down.
Okay.
Numbers is 7.
Okay, up, down. Here, I'll just do arrows.
Water.
Numbers, water. Okay, there you go.
It's just
Okay, one more thing.
one more. Overly detailed.
Or
Or slash completely unnecessary.
it was definitely unnecessary. I just didn't want to spell it wrong, and I wanted you to guess wrong. So, or completely unnecessary parts of the story, like things that are added. It's like this adds nothing to the story. Why is that there? Like,
Like with the John and the pillars or the water. And then John, when we're talking about the water and the pillars, there was unnecessary stuff. I don't know.
oh no, I'm not talking about like manuscripts that didn't have anything, or didn't have those old earliest manuscripts not having that detail. Not that. That's not what I mean. But there are some stuff in
No,
John
not
like
that. You said in there was.
She's talking about whenever he went in there and healed the man that was sitting by the water
Mhm.
and all that. Like how
So not the part that wasn't in the
Oh,
original.
overly detailed? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, okay. I was talking about the unnecessary stuff. Okay, yeah. So overly detailed parts. Yeah. So if I were like, I went to the Heritage Festival last week. It was really fun. I saw a YouTube video where the Too Extreme ride busted in half and like killed people. So I refused to ride it because it's red and yellow and blue and green and swirls around and goes up and down. And I put a whole bunch of unnecessary gel in my hair, and then I knew that if I rode it, it would mess up my hair. And the Heritage Festival was really fun.
That sounds like you.
That's how I tell stories.
Yeah. Sometimes it's totally unnecessarily detailed. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so those are the type of things you're going to look for. Now, knowing that, that's how you're going to begin to find like the much cooler stuff. What do you know about the basic overall purpose point of the Joseph story? Forgiveness. Yeah, okay. Don't what? Forgive your family for turning you into a slave. Got it. Shut up. Next. We're going there later. You're the Logan of this story. Go ask Logan how this is. You're not allowed to speak this whole time. He's the head of the class, so he's not allowed to speak.
That makes
Naomi
sense.
Sojourner.
So Rachel will forgive Adam for yelling
Yes.
at him like that.
Absolutely. Shut up. Okay? No, I'm just kidding.
Joseph in this.
Yeah, exactly. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
What else did you learn about Jonah? Jonah. Joseph.
Naomi sojourned.
Okay. Any worse situation can be used for good. Absolutely. Actually, we talked about this in Jonah. What was the whole point of Jonah? You guys remember? Middle school, no offense, but the middle schoolers got that like
It wasn't
that.
a point.
It points to
Was it?
Jesus.
How?
Naomi is not
They're supposed
Naomi.
to show how the good guys become the bad guys, but the bad guys can become good guys.
Okay, and you're missing one more character.
And God's consistent.
There it is! It's not about Jonah being a good prophet, bad prophet, satirical, whatever. It's not about the Ninevites turning. It's not about any of that. It's that all the people in the story don't act the way they're supposed to and then turn the way that they're supposed to. And the one who should have been good wasn't good. And the ones who were bad turned good. And you're just really confused. But the one who stayed consistent the whole time was God. That's the point of Jonah. Not about a fish. Not about a guy running. Not about, sometimes when you're running from God, he sends storms into your life, and then it affects other people, like I preached before in this church, unfortunately. It's not about that. It's about God remaining consistent through the whole thing. Because you're going to continue to read, just like you were reading in the Minor Prophets, the rest of the book, the rest of the Minor Prophets, and you're going to see how Israel is just going to constantly be the Ninevites. You're going to see how this is just a problem that's been there and is going to always be there, because God has the fix. He will consistently continue in his sovereign will finish off the problem. So, what else do we learn? So, yes, we find that in the Joseph story as well. God will use some of these horrible situations to continue moving consistently the way that he has willed and has planned. What else do you know about, or have you heard people talk about or preach about or anything like that?
I just now thought of this. Are the 12 brothers? He has 12 brothers, correct? Well, I know I'm pretty sure he has 12 brothers, including him, but then he has another brother while he's in Egypt. He has 12 brothers. Are that supposed to be like the 12 disciples?
That's a good question. Tuck that away for a little bit.
I'm saying God accepts us back after we mess up.
Okay. How many guys have heard like these stories? Like, forgive your brothers when they sell you into slavery.
Yeah.
Don't sell your brothers into slavery. How about that one? Let's go the opposite. Like, maybe don't play favorites if you're a dad, right? You can pull out all the devotional readings of the word, but is that really the point? And if it's not really the point, then what is the actual point of the whole Joseph story?
Something to do with God.
Something to do with God. Very good.
Yes.
God knows God can do it.
Great. Good job. Okay, he's consistent. Yeah, that's absolutely for sure always.
That there's, no matter how bad it gets, he always has a plan.
Okay.
I think the greatest thing is that after however long being sold by his brothers, the first thing that he did when he saw them was that he wept.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
no
that's
matter
good.
what's done to you, that there is always forgiveness.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, now let's get deep. So, a whole bunch of stuff has happened before Genesis 37. Let's summarize some of the major events that have happened before Genesis 37. Creation. God, give 2 seconds. 2-second summary of the creation event. Why that's important for us to know. Start of everything.
It was good.
It was
and
good.
And then it was bad.
Or
and then it turned bad.
and then it was bad. Okay, before it was good, it was what?
Nothing.
There you go. Tohu vavohu. It was wild. It was waste. It was chaos. It was nothing. Then God did what?
Made it good.
Yeah, he untohu vavohu did it, right? He brought order, and it was good, right? And then he created Adam and Eve, right? Or the man and the woman. And he does what? Puts them in a garden. So he actually says, eat of any tree. Eat of all these trees.
But don't eat from them.
But if you eat from this one, you will die. Oh. It sounds less restrictive that way. He's like, don't eat that tree. He's like, no, eat all of it. It's all yours. It's amazing. Don't die. But don't touch it. It'll ruin it if you touch that one. Okay. So what do?
They do it.
Yeah, they ruin it immediately. Yeah. They're stupid humans, right? And what happens? They don't die. You're right. They live. They still live. So interesting. Interesting note. Okay. They get kicked out east of the garden.
They have Abel and Cain.
Abel and Cain. 2-second summary.
Cain kills Abel.
Cain kills Abel. Why?
Jealous. Good
Then
beat.
what's the result there?
He goes
He has to
east of
walk.
Eden.
He goes east of Eden now. Okay.
He has to walk forever, but then he stops walking because
God's like, you're going to wander. You're going to wander everywhere. Go wander. You're going to wander. Go wander. So he's going to be a wanderer. And then he settles.
And Canaan.
You're like, Cain, you're an idiot. He just said, you're supposed to wander. And he settled immediately. Right. Yeah.
And he has really bad descendants.
Yes, really bad descendants. What's next? Yeah, say it. Oh, yeah, there's a Babel event. Before the Babel event, though. Yeah, you know a guy. Yeah, there's Noah. There's flood. What? 2-second summary?
God flooded the earth and they
Yeah, mass extinction event. Yeah.
So immediately get off.
Yes. You guys remember that part? What? Like, it's not like God was like, I'm gonna flood the earth today. What happened? What was the point?
Everyone was evil.
It was all bad. Like all bad. Depending on your view, like it didn't matter if you were from heaven or earth. There was a lot of bad stuff going on. Okay. So he regretted making man. He floods the earth.
Then he's drunk and naked in the tent.
Yeah. Then he
ruined
gets off, plants a garden, or sacrifices to God on a mountain. You know, he recreates Eden right here. He's on a mountain. He sacrifices to God. It's a pleasing aroma to God. That came up to God, and God says in his heart, never again will I ever flood the earth, for now I know that every intention of man's heart is wickedness continually. And you're like, wait, what? He sacrificed. He did it right. Like, he sacrificed immediately. He hasn't done anything bad. What do you mean? Now you know. You knew that before. That's why he flooded the earth. And you're left with all these questions. Like, what did Noah do? And then he partakes of the fruit, and he gets drunk, and he ends up naked, and a horrible, shameful event happens. And then what continues on from there? Yeah, Tower of Babel, 2-second summary.
They build a tower to heaven, and then God's like, nope, we
Yeah.
need to mix up the languages, and then they can't talk.
Yeah.
And they go all across the earth.
And you forgot the first part of that. The people are like, we should come together and build, lest we get spread across the earth. And then they build. And then it's like, lest they got spread across the earth, right? Yeah. It's a funny event. And depending on your, again, view, Nimrod is the founder of it, and he is a Nephilim, a mighty warrior. And you're like, wait, what? How did that happen after? Oh, the Nephilim before. Now. Okay, whatever. We're moving on from that. Another rabbit hole. What else? Anything else? Abram. Hi. Zooming into a person. Hi, Abram. What do you know?
God promises him. He makes a covenant.
Abraham.
Yeah. Makes a covenant, changes his name. What's the covenant?
Your descendants will create a mighty nation.
Yeah. You see this land that's not yours? It's gonna be yours. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna give you a son. You're gonna get really old. You're gonna have a blessing.
There's two brothers, Isaac and brother
Esau.
Oh, not yet. Skipped a whole generation here.
Oh.
Because Abraham in his old age gets starts having questionable emotions about whether he's supposed to do something.
Two ladies
And Sarah says, "We just sleep with, Hagar."
Oh,
Right.
poor Hagar.
Has a son.
By the way, if you guys want some fun there, go study that story again and just look and see who Hagar is, what the name actually means, and how that totally is a hint on what's going to happen with Israel. Okay.
They get thrown out.
Yeah, Ishmael. Soon they finally have Isaac. There's Ishmael, and believe it or not, according to Egyptian law, go look it up. Egyptian law says that if your handsmaid, your servant, has a child with you, and you have an actual heir, you are to send them out into the wilderness to die. Actual Egyptian law, you can look it up right now. It literally existed during the time of Abram, and you're like, whoa, weird. But he did it. He sent them out, and they were going to die, and then God provided them through the 7 wells, and it was a really cool story about how Ishmael survives in Hagar. Next.
Is it this?
Isaac has kids. Who are the kids? Oh, well, there's a lot with Abraham. There's more to that, but we'll skip that one for now. So he has 2 kids, Jacob and Esau, the heel grabber and the hairy guy, right?
And he becomes
Jacob
Israel.
steals the birthright.
Jacob steals
Because
birthright.
he gets
and
like a sheep and puts it on his arm, he touches it, and he's like, that's Esau.
Yep.
Because my other son's scrawny and
Yeah,
has
he's
no
like,
hair.
the voice sounds like Jacob, but the hair feels like Esau, okay? And he steals blessing. Yep.
Yeah, so
Right.
then he goes and he tries to marry Rachel. Because Rachel
Yeah,
is
wrestles
so
an angel.
beautiful, so he works
Changes his name.
7
Hold on.
years.
Rachel, he wrestles an angel, overcomes not an angel, but angel, it's fine. Dream. There's a dream. There's a wrestle. There's a ladder. Change his name to Israel. Israel needs wife. Israel
So he
sees
goes,
lovely Rachel.
Goes to his parent, I forgot what their name
Doesn't
is.
matter. Rachel.
Okay, so he's like, I want
does matter.
Rachel. So he goes 7 years, and he gets lazy-eyed Leah.
Yeah, he gets deceived. The deceiver gets deceived by the father-in-law, who gives him droopy-eyed Leah.
So then he goes 7 more years to get Rachel. But
Did
then
he?
Leah has all the kids.
Did he? Did he actually go 7 years?
Oh, he did.
I know, that's a question. You should go read it again, because a lot of people get that mistaken. Is it 14 years that he worked for Rachel, or did he get him immediately and then still work for 7 years? Interesting chronology. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now we have...
Leah's got all the kids.
Yeah, Leah has kids, and Rachel has kids, and those kids are... Huh? Yes! Whose kids are Rachel's? Joseph and Benjamin. And Benjamin, what happens to Rachel when she has Benjamin? Who literally Matthew quotes about Rachel crying out for her children in the wilderness. Yeah, she cries out and dies. Yeah, in birth. And it's a horrible situation. And Jacob is really tore up about it. But now there's Joseph and Benjamin. Okay, so you got the setting. Here we are. Now you get it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read through the whole thing. I want you just to listen to the whole chapter 37. I want you to just be aware, and we're going to reflect. You guys have to do the work. Ready? Here we go. Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Okay? Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he was his son in his old age. And he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said, "Hear this dream I have dreamed. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright, and behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us, or are you indeed to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and his words. I think that's a funny statement too, and his words. Then he dreamed another dream, and he told it to his brothers. He said, "Behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." But when he told it to his fathers and to his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come and bow ourselves to the ground before you?" And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept this saying in mind. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." And he said, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word." So he sent him from the valley of Hebron and came to Shechem. And a man found him wandering in the fields, and a man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where are they pasturing the flock?" And the man said, "They've gone away. I heard him say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found him in Dothan. They saw him from afar, and before they came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. They said to another, "Here comes that dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into the pits. Then we will say that a fierce animal has devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dreams." But when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life. Good job, Reuben." And Reuben said to him, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him." Good job, Reuben. "That he might be rescued out to the hand and restored to his father." Oh. No, not good, Reuben. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the robe of many colors that he wore, and they took him and they threw him into a pit. The pit was empty. There was no water in it. Then they sat down and ate. And looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels bearing gum, balm, myrrh, all their way to carry down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit it if we kill our brothers and conceal his blood? Hey, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let not our hand be upon him, for he's our brother. He is our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then the Midianite traders passed by. They drew up Joseph and lifted him out of the pit, sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the pit, they saw Joseph was not in the pit. He tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where shall I go?" Then they took Joseph's robe and slaughtered a goat, dipped the robe in blood, and they sent the robe of many colors and brought it to their father and said, "This we have found. Please identify. Is this not the robe of your favored son?" Maybe that's not what they said, but brought it to their father and he said, "This is what we found. Please identify whether it's your son's robe or not." And he identified and said, "It is my son's robe. A fierce animal has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt torn into pieces." Then Jacob tore his garments and put on sackcloth and his loins and mourned for his son for many days. All of his sons and all of his daughters rose up to comfort him, and he refused to be comforted. He said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him into Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. Thus be the word of the Lord. Okay.
He did the thing that the king and Jacob did, and he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth.
Oh, and Jonah. Yeah, that was interesting. That's a good connection there. Yeah.
So there were like ups and downs, and they put him down into the thing. But also there was an overly detail in 24.
Mm-hmm.
And they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it.
Interesting. I wonder why.
And that's why I just noticed that.
Good. Okay. Next.
Is it because
We skipped a whole bunch. Let's go back to the beginning. What you got from the beginning? Around the beginning. You're not allowed to answer.
Saw the ups and downs in the beginning.
Ups and downs in the beginning.
stayed in the land of Canaan? That's where Cain went.
Not quite, but close. That's a whole nother thing. It's good. You're fine. I can see where you got that. We'll talk about that later.
So does like sojourning, is that like a theme?
So that's a
Like
whole
a
thing.
house
Does he
in
live
a-
there? Does he own that place? Where is he? Where is the land of Canaan? He's there, that he's living there? Is this the land that was promised to him? His grandfather, Abraham. I don't know. That's interesting. We should keep that in mind. Anything else?
I just say this is the
Like all these, what do you,
Yeah,
any of
this
these?
is the
You notice any of
account
these other things?
Jacob's family.
Well, what is, well, I don't know if this is anything, but why does it say he was a boy with the sons of Bilhah?
Ooh, that's a good question. And
I mean, I know
I want to answer that.
The servants,
Yes,
but,
yes.
like, what's the,
So there's Rachel and Leah, and then then his servants, Bilhah and Zilpah, both had sons.
I just don't know what the point of that.
I'm just going to tell you this just to save some extra time, because that's an interesting note, but it's not really that important. It means that he was basically servant under like 4 of his other brothers, like that weren't like Reuben, the sons of either Rachel and or Leah. So they were kind of other.
Right, they were the
Mhm.
other ones.
So do a quick search at some point about the family line of Jacob, and just see who the sons of who were, and then you'll hear which names are being spoken about and that kind of thing.
In 12 it says now. Like now his brothers went to pasture.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Joseph was like David, like he was a shepherd.
So, okay. So good connection there.
There's the dad, and
Yeah.
his favorite, the favorite.
Oh, so we are hyperlinking all over the place. We're hyperlinking forward to David. We're hyperlinking backwards to other pasturing of the flocks. We'll get to those in just a second. Yep.
It says that Jacob, or it says that Joseph was Jacob's favorite because he was born in Joseph's old age. Is that because of Isaac being born in Abraham's old age, or is that just because it's such
Good question. And why is that a weird statement, by the way, for Joseph? Is there another son that's...
Oh yeah, he was born after Esau.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about in Joseph's story. So this is Jacob's kid, Joseph. Benjamin! There's another younger one. There's a younger one from Rachel. There's 2 from Rachel. There's a younger one from Rachel, who was also born in his old age. Interesting. How come he didn't get the coat?
Because he wasn't born then when that was happening, when he got the coat.
That's good to infer, but he is already born. Good thought there. Okay, so you guys ready?
Yeah.
You're kind of seeing it. You're starting to see him. Now we're going to just start hitting it like crazy. Here we go. You got to remember all those stories you talked about before. That's important. All those in mind. Okay? Here we go. Let's go again. Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings. Not the homeland, right? In his father's sojourning. That's where he lived as a foreigner, right? Important to understand. Why? Because we are now grandchildren of Abraham. Does he own the land that Abraham was promised yet? No. Okay, moving on. In the land of Canaan, in case you forgot. Not the actual land. That's the land that's supposed to be there, but it's not his yet. These are the generations, or, what'd you say? What's yours say? The account of? Jacob's family line. These are the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing a flock. There's a lot of things right there. Anybody notice anything? Okay, so there's an age. Yeah, specific age.
That's overly detailed.
Overly detailed. And also, how about not detailed at all? What was the statement right before that?
His generations.
Family line.
Yeah. No, you guys, what normally follows that part? Yeah, like a whole genealogy. How did y'all miss that? She's like, look, here's a genealogy. Immediately brain turns off. You're like, nope, got nothing there.
I was actually kind of confused, but then when we went back to it, I completely forgot.
Exactly. So here's what happens, right? Because you make the assumption, not you, but we make the assumption that these are just old people writing really long time ago, not in ways that we understand, and it's been translated, so it must be just a bunch of weird translations and weird whatever. No, like every single, in a Hebrew term, jot and tittle, every single jot and tittle is so incredibly well crafted that we could literally spend months on just Genesis 37, just so you know, okay? That's how well crafted. This is nothing, not a single part of this is an accident. Every word, okay? Now that you know that, when it seems weird, it's because the writer's going, hello, he's a wussy, he's a wussy, he's a wussy. He goes to the Harris Festival, you should catch this. How are you not catching this? Hello, right? So he's like, here's the generations, the descendants. Joseph was 17 years old. He was pasturing the flock with unnamed brothers of Zilpah and other lady. Except we missed others here, right? Who are the other ones? Who are the other brothers? Yeah, it doesn't say. It didn't say any of them. It didn't say any of the brothers, right? Oh, interesting. Okay, and if you go one page before this, by the way, guess what you're going to find? These are the generations of Esau. Esau took wives from the Canaanites. Ada had the daughter of Elon, Hittite, the daughter of Anaz, Zibeon, the Basemeth, Ishmael's daughter, sister of... You see how that works? These are the generations of Esau, and then insert generations of Esau. Now we got, these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph was 17. He had brothers that he was under. Okay, moving on.
Does anyone else have, like, is that like, there's somebody else?
It's a great question. I want you to do the research and find out later. Okay, here we go. He was pasturing the flock with his brothers.
Isn't there only one shepherd?
It's a good thought. I don't know. Are there other shepherds in the Bible that we could compare to?
Moses.
I meant like one at a time, like shepherd.
That's a great question. I wonder if there are other shepherds in the Bible that we could go to.
Yeah.
How about before this? Moses and David are hyperlinks forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, which one?
I don't know.
Abel was
I'm sorry. Genesis chapter 4? Yes, go to it. Genesis chapter 4. I told you you have to keep all these stories in mind. It's very important. Why? Annalie, why?
Abel kept the flocks.
You're juxtaposing
Yes,
it.
absolutely. I'm sorry, so say it again.
Abel kept the flocks and Cain worked the soil.
Okay, so 2 sons. One keeps flocks, one works soil. What happens to the brothers?
Kills them.
Who?
The meat one.
The meat one.
And they do that too.
Is he? Just read the dang thing. Read it. It's like 3 verses. Like read 3 verses.
In the course of the time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, but Abel brought back portions from some of the firstborn.
So Abel shepherd, Cain brought first fruits. And what happened?
The Lord looked with favor on Abel.
Father God showed favor to
Oh.
Havel.
Like the father of Joseph.
And Cain, the older brother, got really jealous.
Yeah.
Cuts out to the field, goes out into the field, right? Out into the field where Abel is pasturing flocks. And then, yeah, right? Keep that in mind, okay? Keep it in mind. Can you think of any other time? That's okay. We'll move on from that. That's the whole thing. Look up shepherds in the Bible. It's really cool. Here we go. We're going to end soon, by the way. We're not going to get very far. Okay, here we go. He was the boy with the sons of Bill. Okay, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than any other. Okay, so, anybody?
Why did you just skip over that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what? That seems confusing.
Yeah.
Completely confusing. You didn't like what was the bad report? Anybody have questions here? Like why?
What was the bad report?
Yeah, that's a great question. Why? What was the bad report?
Mine doesn't say bad report. It says, and Joseph brought unto his father the evil report. I think saying that of the evil that was going on, that
Yeah.
there was
Well,
shenanigans.
Yeah, I like that. What was the raw that was happening?
His brothers were bad.
His brothers were bad. How?
They're evil.
Which ones?
Probably.
Huh? How about this? Why did God favor Abel's offering more than Cain's?
Because he worked hard first.
Oh, look at all you guys reading between the lines that aren't there. We have no idea.
I thought we did.
It's not given. It gave his first fruits and a fat offering. And then we see him favor one over the other, and we're not given a reason. The only thing we're given is, Cain, why is your face fallen? Don't you know if you do well?
Sin is crouching.
Yeah, you'll be fine. But if not, if you don't do well, sin is crouching at the door, ready to devour, right? Interesting. We're not given a reason. Just like we're not given what in the world you're talking about. So why is that there? I don't know. Maybe we should put that in the back of our minds. Okay? Keep that there. And Israel loved Joseph more. By the way, we didn't pick this up on here, did we? Anybody notice something immediately right there regarding Israel loved Joseph more? Yeah, and why is that weird right now?
His dad didn't love him.
Okay, yeah, but why is it weird? That statement. Why is that statement right there? Why is that statement weird? How about starting right above verse 1? Verse 1. Read verse 1.
Oh, wait. This is the account of Jacob.
Fallen.
Good job! The account of who?
Jacob.
Jacob. Read verse 1. Jacob.
So why did it turn to Israel?
Oh, interesting. There's a fluctuation that we're about to watch of Jacob, Israel, Jacob. You're going to watch name changes of the same person being used two different names now. Okay? Okay. We both knew his name was Jacob and Israel, but why are they interchanging the names? I wonder. I wonder. Okay. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he was the son of his old age. And immediately we're thinking, Isaac. What happens in that story? Abraham. What happens in that story? Huh? Oh, okay. So let's talk about the tale of two sons. Cain and Abel. Yeah. And Cain kills Abel. Oh, sorry. Wrong two sons. Isaac and Ishmael. And this time, Isaac is going to be killed. But by whom?
His dad.
His dad. Wait, dad. What? Because his dad favored him. Oh, his dad favored him. Oh! Wait, what? Wait, where's Ishmael in this? Oh, yeah, he done got kicked out in the wilderness. That's right. He's not his favorite, right?
Yeah.
But this is his only begotten son. Interesting. I wonder if we should tuck that away for a little bit, too. There's themes happening. Because we
I do
can't.
not have room.
There's no way.
Yeah, there's not
We're gonna
enough
get.
room.
No, we're gonna. I know. We're gonna get one more verse in, and then we're gonna stop because you're gonna have a challenge, and that challenge is to go and just spend time in Genesis 37. Come back ready to blow everybody's mind about how much of this you're now picking up and starting to see. Okay. Here we go. Last thing. Ready? And he made him a robe. Not just any robe. Of many colors, many ornaments,
Like the
many
rainbow.
beautiful colors. Technicolor, if you're a weird thing in. Okay. So what? Why?
It was like the rainbow after Noah.
Yeah, I think that might be linking something that might not be there. I'd have to think on that for a little bit longer. That.
There's some kind of tradition.
And I think there's something less obvious or
We're like
less
ornaments.
detailed. Okay. Yeah.
What were like ornaments? What were ornaments like back then?
It doesn't matter. So why a robe? We now know that every detail that we've been reading has been doing what? Hyperlinking. So I don't remember anybody else having a robe of many colors, but maybe this one is slightly different, kind of like how Abraham was going to kill Isaac instead of Cain. So how can you think of? Oh.
Okay, so my
Wait, hold on.
Bible down here at the bottom it says it like it calls it an ornate robe. It doesn't say a coat.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a garment. Just ignore the coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says it's a mark of Jacob's favoritism. In parentheses or quotation marks, it says the kind of garment the virgin daughters of kings wore, and it says 2 Samuel 13.
Yeah. That's absolutely 100% true, but that's not what they're going for.
Well, God gave us clothes.
So he's not naked like Adam and Eve.
Oh! You just
No,
did
wait,
it!
no.
I'm sorry, what?
I just said God gave them clothes. You didn't say
I did.
anything.
I was listening to her when you said that. So yeah, you were both right there. So okay, make the connections. Come on, make the connections. You're right there. Say it. What happened? Fill it in. What happened in the story?
They were naked.
They noticed
wanted-
they were naked because
They were naked,
Say it
right?
like that.
So what'd they do?
were naked.
And what they cover themselves with?
Fig leaves.
Oh, plants,
And then
okay.
the fig leaves got all wilty, so he gave them like animal skin clothes.
When they were doing what? When?
Like they were doing so the fig leaves, and then the fig
No.
leaves got all like grody.
Yeah. And when did he give them clothes specifically?
When he
Yeah.
was he
Right
asked-
after what occurred? Yeah, the fall, the judgment, all that kind of stuff, right? So he judges them and then he clothes them. And you're like, oh, Father God loves man, even though we totally messed that up, right? And then you just continue on down the line and you start to watch how clothing or coverings, more specifically, are going to play a major role. Can you think of another time before this Joseph story
They like
where...
Huh?
Huh?
They like tear
Okay, yeah, so that's the whole thing where they're going to uncreate themselves, right? They tear it off, put on sackcloth
They
and
tore
ashes.
off Jesus' clothes.
Yep, we're looking backwards though. Where has coverings played a role in brothers and jealousy and... Your voice sounds a lot like...
Oh, it was the sheep!
Now, we'll put the pieces together. So we have a sheep who is doing what?
It was like covering him so that
Covering
he
who?
could, Jacob.
Jacob, who just so happens to be whose father? Joseph.
Yeah.
And Jacob is using the little lamb skin thing to do what?
To trick his dad.
To deceive his own father.
Yeah.
I wonder if that very thing is going to be used later on in chapter... Oh. The lamb's blood on the coat that was used to deceive the deceiver who used the lamb to deceive his father into the... Are you seeing how this is not just random junk thrown on a page? Like, this is so intricately woven together. And you're like, oh my goodness, there's so much more to the story than jealousy and forgiving brothers who sell you into slavery. Like, holy smokes. So that's your challenge right now. Don't move on. Stay in 37. You have eyes now. Come back. Or write me throughout this week and be like, what is this? I think whatever. Totally fine. Okay? Come back ready to just continue in how cool this is and where it's going and what the writers are trying to do. Okay? I'm going to pray. If you have questions, you can stay after. Father God, thank you so much for your word. Thank you for each one of these students who are here willing to open it. Father, I pray that you just give them eyes to see, that you will just birth in them an excitement and a desire to just find out more about your word, because as we've learned, John, it tells us that you are the word, Father, and time in the word is time with you. Father, that's ultimately what we are called to do, is just like Psalm 1 says, meditate on it day and night. So I just pray that as they take this challenge this next week, while they meditate on chapter 37 of Genesis, Father, that you will begin to reveal to them just how incredible this is, and help them find the treasures, help them see the bigger picture written within the smaller picture, Father, that points further to you and what you've done for us. Father, we're thankful and we love you. In your name, amen. When they're not around. Because there's certain parts I can't reveal yet that will become important that you are aware of.